And on this side so I can see what we look like. Alrighty, I think that we are live now. So, hello everybody, and welcome to our December community chat. I am Layla Lagandaon, the Health Education Manager here at AiArthritis. I am just getting everything set up while we are going to do our community watch party today and kind of get everybody settled in the chat. So just give me 1 second while I pop in here. We're waiting for some staff members to go ahead and join the live so that we can get everybody to introduce themselves too. So again, my name is Layla. I am the health education manager here. I am a person living with lupus and Sjogren's syndrome, or sorry, Sjogren's disease. And I am excited to do our last community chat of the year. I think we've done every month except for one where I wasn't feeling well. So almost 12 community chats this whole year. So thank you all who have participated and joined in and even watched them not live. I hope that they have been of value to you. Today we are going to be doing another watch party, and it's going to be exciting because it's a watch party of popular TV shows. So we want to, with these community chats, do educational things like, we did with the webinar with relieving stress and things like that. We also want to do some fun things and kind of react to maybe how the world sees or portrays our diseases. So that's the point of today's community chat. And I wanted to go ahead and introduce our panel that we have today of our lovely volunteers who all have something in common. So if you all want to introduce yourself, go ahead. Maybe start with Caitlin.
Hi everyone, my name's Caitlin. I'm from Canada, Toronto, and I have been diagnosed with Still's disease, which developed into macrophage activation syndrome as a secondary complication. Luckily, thank God, I am in remission now. I am still on biologicals, but luckily I'm also mostly off of my prednisone, which everyone knows is kind of the worst drug to be on. But yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
All right, and I'm Daylene. I was also diagnosed with Still's disease in May of 2023. Had a few trips to the ICU and back, but as of now, I'm pretty stable. And yeah, I'm so excited to see the Grey's Anatomy one because I was looking for that episode and I could not find it anywhere, so I can't wait. And yeah.
Go ahead, Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy Brown. I am administrator for one of the administrators for the Still support group on Facebook. I've been living with Still since I was 16, so I've seen a few of these episodes, so I'm kind of excited to kind of offer some input too.
Awesome. So as you can see, all of our volunteers that actually decided to join today do have Still's disease. So I'm excited that we are going to be reacting to the Still's disease slash macrophage activation syndrome episode of Grey's Anatomy. Side note, Grey's Anatomy is literally my favorite show of all time. So this is like the best thing for me that I get to combine my work with my favorite show. And on top of that, I did the macrophage activation syndrome project this year with of Caitlin's help also. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get to that point. We're going to start out with All American, which is a TV show that's on the CW that has to do with a high school football team. Then they kind of transition to college, and Taye Diggs is like one of the big actors that's in it. If anybody knows who Taye Diggs is, he plays the football coach. So that is fun. And then so it's based on a real story of basically high school football. So
Okay.
yeah. Yes, Tracy. Oh, sorry, I thought you were saying something. I'm going to mute you for now while we go with the clips.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No worries. Okay, let's go on to the first clip. Let me share my screen.
What's with the look?
Can't help it, it's just my face.
Didn't mean to hit a trigger. Just making sure you're good.
I'm sorry, it's been a rough few days.
Rough days mean the good ones are coming.
I hope you're right. Hey, you okay?
Yeah, yeah. It'll pass. I just gotta breathe slowly.
Whoa, hey, you still having pain?
Why don't I get you some water? Right? Thanks.
Babe, so you should rest.
No, I'll be fine. I made a doctor's appointment for tomorrow. Come on, tonight's about you. Besides, my pain's at like a 4
Out of 5?
out of 10, Ash. If it gets worse, I promise I'll tell you.
Hey, Drew, what's going on? Rob Sestrino. Drew,
Thanks for not letting me
how are
exit.
you?
Hold on 1 second. Okay, so that was just a little bit of a clip of where she's showing where she's having chest pain. It'll go into it a little bit deeper in the next clips.
Hey,
Hi.
I go.
Jacob already left, so
Actually, I came to see you. Why didn't you tell me that you had lupus? I thought that you were just ghosting me all summer.
I wasn't ghosting you. I didn't tell you because, well, you were only supposed to be the one date. And then we had that stupid fight.
Which I left like 100 voicemails apologizing for.
I really liked you. And how do you tell the guy that you like that he'll probably have to deal with a debilitating illness every few months?
Hey, it wouldn't have scared me away. Okay. I wanted to drop this off. It's for you. The charity, I mean, you can add it to the rest of the donations you got tonight.
What's this new job you've got?
Been working for a sports bookie.
Oh, so you like break people's kneecaps if they don't pay.
No, I don't. What is with the kneecap assumptions? I just help with the odds. Which always favor the house. It's easy money.
There's no such thing as easy money. Oh, and you know you can't work for a sports bookie and live with college athletes.
Well, our lease is up this week, so I'm good. In fact, we're having a goodbye beach house thing tonight. You should come.
Okay, so those were from the first season. It was kind of the very small introduction of of his girlfriend having lupus. And I feel like my biggest thing with those clips is that he was just so, yeah, it's not going to affect me whatsoever if you have a debilitating chronic disease. So I think that was probably the biggest thing where I was like, it's definitely not that easy. So any little tidbits from you guys about that?
I think it's so easy to brush off, especially at the beginning, small things like that. And then that's when the more that we do it or have done it, then things get worse. But I definitely relate to brushing off, a little pain here and there, and you just think it's something. So that's definitely relatable. That's what I got from these clips.
Yeah, I find that sometimes dating with a chronic illness is almost like you have baggage that you didn't really have a choice to like any sort of kind of influence in. And so it is, you're right. He was very, very kind of flippant about it all, but it's true. It's kind of like, even though obviously it's a completely different comparison, it's like brushing off that someone has children dating or something. It's like, well, yeah, it's easy to just kind of brush it off, but it's going to be a lot of time and dedication and attention to something like this. So you're totally right. It was just wild how flippant he was about it.
Yeah. And so the next clip that's going to come up is from, I think it's like way later on where they actually find out that Jamie gets pregnant. And so that causes a whole other discussion about other things. So we'll see what happens here.
It's close, but you head up. I know you got an early day tomorrow. Ash will stay with me.
Yeah, I got this, babe.
Okay, great. Okay.
Well, good night.
Good night. Love you.
Lovely.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye. You really don't have to wait with me. I just said that so she'd go and rest. Go do whatever it is that you do.
Look, Casey, I understand why you're worried about Jamie. I know that we're young. I know that I'm not exactly rolling in money. But I love her, and I will take care of her and our baby.
Says the guy who signed off on Jamie stopping her medications. Lupus and pregnancy are a really dangerous combination, you know. Wait. She didn't tell you, did she?
She told me that there were risks, but why did she stop taking her meds?
For the baby. And I get why she's worried about that, but I'm worried about her. And the fact that she doesn't think she can tell you about it says everything I need to know about how unprepared you are for all of this. That's my ride. Look, Asher, you seem like an alright guy, but that doesn't mean you're ready to take care of my sick sister and her child. Sorry.
What are you doing up so early?
You stopped taking your meds? Jamie.
Casey shouldn't have told you.
No, you should have told me.
It's between me and my doctor.
You're putting your life at risk.
I've lived with lupus for years, so please don't question my
I
decision.
didn't think that I needed to. I didn't think that you would be so reckless.
See, this is why I didn't tell you. Because you have no idea what you're talking about. You barely heard of lupus before you met me, now you're questioning decisions I made with my doctor? No. I've had people tell me how to manage my health for as long as I can remember, and if I'd let other people's fears of what might happen dictate how I'd live my life, I had never left home. Or met you.
Jamie,
No, Ash, I don't need another Casey in my life telling me to be afraid of living.
what is that supposed to mean?
It means you don't get a say in this.
Oh, what a night. And people actually laughed at my jokes.
You were really great.
Just bummed JJ didn't show up. God, Jamie. Is you lupus?
I'm sorry, Ash. I think I need to go to the hospital. Like, right now.
Okay, I think I might have shown those a little out of order, but anyways, the part about the pregnancy. So that was super interesting about stopping meds. So for those of you who don't know, a lot of lupus and any AiArthritis disease medication can be toxic for fetal for fetuses and for pregnancy. And so there's a lot of talk about, testing different medications for pregnancy and what is going to pass the placenta barrier and all these types of things. And so this clip came out maybe about a year and a half ago, and I feel like they could have talked a little bit more about, like, some medications are safe and some aren't. Not all medications are are bad for the baby. So I just want to like make sure that people know that, because that's a little bit of a misconception that's shown here, is that there are still like hydroxychloroquine, you can still take that while you're pregnant. So there's like some, but methotrexate you definitely can't. So there's definitely like some um like research to be done. There's a really great site and foundation called Mother to Baby, and it's not just for AiArthritis diseases. They have lists of medications for any disease that you could think of, that they help you to decipher what is good for a baby and what's not, like what different types of medications. This also leads me to segue that I'm filming a talk show episode next week about pregnancy and rheumatic diseases, and talking about my journey of starting that too. So tune in to the January talk show episode if you want to hear more about this subject. So that's that. Anything from the peanut gallery of these separate clips of like the pregnancy talk and the medication talk?
Well, I that's something that comes up quite frequently in the stills group. People asking, pregnancy, that kind of thing. Unfortunately for me, I didn't cross that process because by the time I got diagnosed, I was done having babies. But it's hard to ask those questions or answer them because you don't know, where that is, and how do you find the research to tell them, because you don't want to just arbitrarily stop medications that are helping you.
Exactly. Like that's, I mean, the concern that the sister had were very valid, like
Yeah, they were.
I mean, it's like, you know how much pain you're going to be in if you stop these medications, and for 9 months, like that's crazy, and so I think that's what's really hard, is that especially like if you still have to work and if you still have to be completely functioning, like stopping
Yeah.
my biologics is like I wouldn't ever want to. Like I would be in so much pain if I did that. So I totally get the concerns that the family has. But and I totally understand Jamie, where she's like, I just want to protect my baby, like I'll do whatever I have to protect my baby. And I think that a lot of women get to that spot, like when they get pregnant and are feeling that maternal instinct, like that's what you want to do. And it's hard to make decisions for yourself when you already know that there's a life that you're protecting,
Like when I was initially diagnosed and before the doctor put me on the steroids and the Plaquenil, he asked me if I had plans in the future for additional children, and it's like, nope, that's all been taken care of. But it does seem to be a pretty prominent question every time. And that's where it's also important that your whole medical team works together
Absolutely.
to help you make the best possible decisions.
Yeah, in the different sessions that I've gone to in different conferences this year, they talk so much about collaboration and just making sure that your doctors are all on the same page and communicating with each other.
Right. That's why
you have to do like a high risk pregnancy, like OBGYNs, like you have to find like it's best to find a specific high risk pregnancy OBGYN. So them being able to collaborate with your rheumatologist.
Right. Well, see, that's why my primary care doctor is in charge of all of my medications. All my doctors go through her, and she does the cross checks and, make sure everything's good, that nothing's going to interfere.
Absolutely. That's lucky for you, because there's a lot of doctors that'll be like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Like, I don't want to be the gatekeeper. Like, it should be the specialist or things like that. So that's really lucky that you have a primary care that's knowledgeable enough and willing to do it.
and actually it came out of a cross reaction, because I have a sulfa-based allergy. I'm allergic to sulfa-based drugs, and one of my doctors had put me on a medication that had a warning on it, and the pharmacy did not catch it.
Wow.
And it almost killed me.
Oh my goodness.
After that, my primary care was like, nope, they're all gonna have to come through me. And I'm thankful because I go to Johns Hopkins for a lot of my very close specialty care, and everything. So they all are willing to work together, and that's important.
That's awesome. Anything else from Daleen or Caitlin?
I have just one little comment from that. When she mentioned about stopping her medications, I actually did a mistake, and I actually did stop prednisone for 2 weeks in the summer because it started to make me itch really bad, even though it's for itching, but I started itching and it was really hard to get a hold of my doctor. I kept leaving messages, but once I stopped taking the prednisone, the itch left. Like I was free. But then of 2 weeks not taking anything, that's when I had to go back to the hospital because the doctor said I was in adrenal crisis, and that's what happens when you stop taking prednisone abrupt. So I went from 60 milligrams to 0 overnight. As, and then I just went like that for 2 weeks. Yeah, it was really bad. And blood pressure was like super low, and but it was difficult. And so yeah, it is really dangerous if anybody stops. Um, but yeah, that's good thing that, and I hope that she came out fine in the movie clip. I haven't watched it.
Yeah. The storyline hasn't finished yet about this. Like they haven't had their baby or anything yet. So the next season is supposed to come out, I think in like January or February. So we might have more clips to react to after the next season. But I also wanted to mention, I don't know if anybody else caught it. Obviously, I caught it because I'm Filipino, but Jamie's character is and her sister are supposed to be Filipino in this clip. It's all based in LA too, so it's very multicultural. There's a lot of like cultural references that they make. But like the whole Jamie and Casey, like those are very common Filipino names and things like that. So like, and the way they spell it is like with EE at the end. And that's very, it's just like I don't know, it's a Filipino thing to do. So I caught that. I just wanted to mention that. So that's culturally accurate that people who are like more likely to get lupus are either Black, Hispanic, Pacific Islander, or Asian. So those are like, it's, I always joke around, but it's like lupus is racist or something. Why does it only hit people of color? So, but that was another reference that I wanted to make that was accurate medically, that they made in the show too. So
real quick, Layla, it's funny that you were saying something about the lupus and the ethnic ties to it. I have a very strong Native American and European background, and I have a cousin that has lupus. She has the SLE, and so it's kind of weird. and we just found out that one of my daughters has got lupus.
Oh wow. Yeah, Native American is actually a part of that too. A part of that group too. But yeah, I mean it happens more prevalent in those communities, but it doesn't mean that it like anybody else doesn't get it. Like there's a lot of Caucasian white people that have lupus too, for sure. Okay, so let's move on to Grey's Anatomy. This the clips itself end up being like 21 minutes, so we'll have like some time to come in and out of the talking, but let's get through like part of it and then we'll get some more commentary.
This is my first time ever watching Grey's Anatomy, so I'm very excited.
Causes of undulant fever include brucellosis, babesiosis. Fever include brucellosis, babesiosis.
Why my
Well, I
screen
wouldn't
is
go
not
that far yet,
showing.
but sex is
Give
great.
me 1 second.
Does that count?
Let's try to refresh this again.
Fever include brucellosis.
Richard, how big
Okay,
was
I'm gonna have to exit this.
this fight?
Oh no, what is
Is her
wrong
enough?
with my Netflix? Why won't it show?
Goodbye.
Let's see if I try to play the next episode.
Hi there. I called in sick. What?
Okay, we're
I
gonna have
thought
to
we
just
had a
start
deal.
this all over again because I'm not sure what's going on. Let me okay, I'm not sharing my screen right now. pull up another browser and open Netflix again. And let's see if this works. Never not, go without some technical issues. Okay, I think I got it now.
Okay.
Making friends.
You did?
And as
That's
I
so
said
nice
that,
to
it
hear.
it doesn't want to show it on here.
Causes of undulant
When
fever
I'm sharing
include
maybe Netflix has like some kind of block that you can't share your screen while you're watching on Zoom. I didn't know that that was a thing. Oh no.
Maybe do you have pop-up blockers for it? Or
I
does it have permission to view?
Pause on this site. Let me see if
I hate that he's
it
all
may be the
alone.
site because you are on a
Hate
third-party
that
video
he has
app that is
nowhere
screen
to go.
recording. Yeah,
It was him.
that
And Alex
might
was
be it.
him.
Because yeah, when I
Oh, he
wasn't
turned out
sharing my
okay.
screen, it was actually playing normally. So I guess that it does have a block on it. What do you guys think? Should we just react to the audio? I feel like, I mean, we still kind of get the story, but oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It looks like they have some sort of like third party blocker.
Okay. We're just gonna have to go off the cuff and just listen to it. I mean, you'll hear everything.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
I'll kind of try and plug in things that I remember from the episodes, but
Describe the
let's go
video.
from there. Yeah.
Stop.
Well, thank you. I'll
Okay,
conduct the
so
interviews myself.
this is season 16 of Grey's Anatomy. I believe that we're on like 18 or 19 right now. So this is a few seasons back. Meredith, the main character, has a newest love interest who is now her resident. So she started out the series as somebody else's resident who ended up being her husband. He died, and now she is dating her resident. He is in the middle of figuring out that he has schizophrenia. And so he is going crazy trying to figure out the diagnosis for this patient. And I don't mean like crazy in like the clinical sense. I mean, he's just like, racking his brain trying to figure out what is wrong with this patient. And so she comes in with just a whole plethora of symptoms that she's trying to describe, that she's so tired, she can't take care of her kids. She's been throwing up, she's been having so much pain, recurrent fevers. That's the first thing that you're going to hear here. And this scene is where they're doing a differential, where you see a big whiteboard and it has the patient's name circled in the middle and a bunch of different like branches out trying to figure out what it is. So it'll say SLE, other autoimmune disease, some kind of bacteria infection. So they're like, all of the interns and the residents are trying to figure out what this could possibly be. So that's what's happening in this scene.
Make my decisions.
And here I thought you and I were making friends.
You did? That's so nice to hear.
Causes of undulant fever include brucellosis, babesiosis, typhoid, leptospirosis.
Slow it down, dude.
Oh, good Lord, people, just because you're injured doesn't mean you can't shower.
Dr. DeLuca said we could only eat and sleep.
Hey, what you got?
Blood cultures and ELISA came back negative for all of that, and her lymph node biopsy is clear as well.
Which means no lymphoma.
Right.
Isn't no lymphoma a good thing?
I don't want to walk back there and tell them that I have nothing.
Well, then figure it out, and you won't have to. Bird, be part of the solution now. Sims, take a shot.
Maddie's 13. I should have years before she's in the kissing stage. What about Scott Thompson? That was
this
different.
Is the patient talking to her sister about her daughter, and they're basically just discussing what's happening with her daughter. And
give me a Styx record. Well, maybe Taylor gave Maddie something. Wait, Maddie kissed Taylor? Yeah. Taylor Olson. Yeah.
Good morning, Hadley. Suzanne, how you feeling?
She's been digging up dirt on you. It's called research. I didn't exactly have to do a lot of digging. Hospital hell. You see that article?
That piece was intended to highlight weaknesses within the entire healthcare system. And the surgeon who wrote it actually recently came back to work here. You're not going to find better, more competent care in the whole Northwest. Um, can I help you?
So this part is a little quiet because the person who comes in that is going to help them figure out the diagnosis is a specialist. She's a diagnostician, kind of like Houses, but she's deaf. And from UCSF, so from San Francisco, going up to Seattle to basically help them with this diagnosis because they really can't figure it out. And so she has like an interpreter on an iPad screen where she's doing sign language while she's trying to talk to everybody else, and the interpreter like tells everybody what she's saying. So that's what's happening on here.
Yeah. Excuse me.
I'm Dr. Lauren Riley.
Right.
I'm here for a consult with Dr. Meredith Gray. It's nice to meet you, Miss Britland.
Suzanne. And you are...
She is our master diagnostician.
Oh, thank God.
I'm gonna ask about 1 billion questions and run even more tests. I will annoy you greatly, but in the end, it will be worth it, okay?
I like you already.
I want a full autoimmune panel, a pericardial fluid culture, and a cytology. Immediately.
We already did those.
Do them again. And page cardio, I need to know why the fluid is building up because it will happen again. And can you tell Dr. Gray I'm here already?
So that's the biggest thing that they're going to address first, is that she has a lot of inflammation around her heart and her pericardium, and there's a lot of fluid building up. So that's the first thing that they are going to address. Okay, 13 to 15, 19. So this is when the cardio doctor is checking out her
So
heart.
you lost 25 pounds 2 years ago? Were you dieting?
I had a 6-year-old and an 11-year-old who were maniacs and never let me sit down. Is that a diet?
And you never gained the weight back?
No. And I was more than happy to throw out the mom jeans.
Dr. Pierce, what do you see?
That's not a good face.
There's too much fluid. I need to do a pericardial window.
Okay, I need the dummy words.
It is a procedure in which I make a small hole in the membrane around your heart to prevent fluid from accumulating.
This is ridiculous. Suzanne, they want to cut into you again? If we're starting over again, we might as well do it someplace else.
We are not starting over.
Yes, we are. I approach my patients as if I'm meeting them on their first day in the hospital. You'd be amazed at what can slip through the cracks.
They don't even agree on what they're doing. I'm too tired to move anyway. Plus, my kids really like the mac and cheese in the cafeteria. This isn't funny. Sadly, they're trying. Let them.
Thank you. We'll be back to prep you soon.
Where is Dr. Gray?
She's in surgery right now.
She's right there. I'll go book an OR.
Okay, I'm gonna just go over what happens in this scene, but basically, Dr. DeLuca, the one who is in the process of getting a diagnosis for his schizophrenia, the backstory on that is that his dad had schizophrenia and he was always afraid of developing it. And so he's around 27 now, and that's at the age where a lot of people start exhibiting their schizophrenia symptoms. And so he called the diagnostician himself and said that it was a consult for Dr. Gray, who is his boss, but Dr. Gray has no idea that he called the consult in. So he lied to the diagnostician, getting him using Meredith's name to get her to the hospital. And that's just the conversation that happened. 1620.
So you don't need to worry. They said it wouldn't take long.
That's right. We'll have your mom out in less than an hour.
Sadly.
She and Maylee went to go get Grandma. She had too much wine at the sports bar again.
Sweetie, I think that maybe you and I should talk about what happened on the field trip with you and Taylor.
Hadley told you? She swore she wouldn't.
Honey, why would you want to talk to Anne Hadley about it and not me?
The principal only told her because you weren't there. I don't want to talk to anyone.
Maddie, wait. She only started doing that when she realized I couldn't physically follow her. Never have children.
So basically, the daughter got caught on a field trip kissing somebody, but they just said the name, and the name was Taylor. Her sister, like the mom's sister, didn't know that Taylor was a girl, so it was a big thing that happened, and she kind of just told the the sister as if it was nothing, but like the mom is like trying to deal with this situation while she's getting all of this diagnosed. And Grey's Anatomy is like this, where there's 70 million storylines going on all at the same time, so it's kind of confusing to just jump in. But I think it portrays really well, like these past few clips of like how she's trying to what am I trying to say? How she was basically saying that she wrote off all of those things that happened before because it was just like her busy life. How she was talking about how she lost 25 pounds and she didn't think that that was weird, and all of these different things, like she didn't even notice them happening in her life, or pay attention to them, that eventually ended up being signs that helped them to piece everything together. 16, 27, 24. Let's go.
No, I took a
Took a break, a short break, and now she's well rested and she's ready. And Suzanne, Dr. Pierce is an extraordinary surgeon. Very good hands.
Okay, Suzanne. Count back from 10 for me.
Taylor Olson is a girl. My sister thinks that Taylor is a boy, but my daughter Maddie was kissing a girl at school. Which means that my sister basically just outed my daughter and she doesn't even know it. Maddie must be furious and confused. And I don't know, happy, in love. Definitely in need of her cool, supportive mom and not her uptight aunt who never wanted to be a parent. And my youngest, Maylee, she was already an orphan once, so she will never recover if I don't make it off this table, so you can't let me die. Got that? My kids really need me.
Suzanne, we've got you.
So she's going in to go do the pericardial window that they were talking about. And she's just explaining why, this can't go wrong. So you have to make sure that you guys do a good job.
On every step. Was it Karasik?
It wasn't anyone. I'm just really worried about Suzanne. Did you listen to her when we were putting her under?
She's not here for my feelings. She's here for my hands and my expertise. And that is my focus, and it should be yours too.
Surgery was smooth?
Yes.
Good. Okay, when she wakes up, we need to withdraw all treatment. All antibiotics, all antifungals, and steroids.
What?
What? Why would we do that?
We've already tested for infectious diseases, malignancies, and autoimmune disorders. And now we're at the point where we have to consider there's some clue that's being suppressed by the medication and we need it to present itself.
Dr. Riley, Suzanne needs those antibiotics to treat a form of infection that we can't find, and the steroids to treat the pericarditis. If we do what you're saying, she could go into septic shock and be dead in days. Maggie, what do you think?
I think it's reckless and cavalier, and I believe that you'd be making a catastrophic mistake. Make sure you follow up on the path of those pericardial fluid analyses and keep me posted.
Dr. DeLuca, do you agree for my recommendation that
Yes, that. I need you guys.
Well, not all of you. I need those guys. Can they come to the...
Okay, I wanted to stop and get all of your input on maybe if any of this seems familiar to when you got diagnosed or what kind of happened in the hospital and when they were trying to figure things out.
It's actually funny you mentioned that because the very beginning of when I got sick, I had raised lymph nodes and my bloods were all over the place and no one really knew what was going on. And so the initial thought was lymphoma. And so I actually was tested for lymphoma and that came back negative. And they said basically the exact same thing. They're like, well, it's great. It's not lymphoma. And at the time I was feeling better. So then I ended up leaving and going abroad and continuing on with my life and then got sick much later or a little bit later, but much more sick. But it's kind of funny. I felt like it was like almost like a flashback of getting tested for that. So it was I've kind of went down that exact same route initially. Luckily, I didn't have quite the same after experience in terms of diagnosis and whatnot. But yeah, I started with a lymphoma suspicion as well.
Well, it's like for me, when they were talking about the chest pain and stuff, that's when it hit me. Wait a minute. That's why they sent me to the cardiologist because I did have pericarditis. And that's what actually and ultimately put me in the hospital that year. And they didn't have to go in and open a window or anything. We were able to get it under control. But, that's kind of the other part that led the cardiologist I had to the diagnosis, besides all the symptoms and just looking like crap.
Definitely. I think pericarditis, it ends up showing a lot in people with stills. How about you,
Yeah.
Daleen?
Yeah, it's really something that happens often. I also got pericarditis so at the beginning. And so when they said like call cardiologist, I remember the ER doctor saying I'm gonna page cardiology. They just called me back. They told me to keep me here. It might be stills, it might be something called HS purpura or something. And then when they said septic shock, I was like, oh my gosh, that was me when I freaking stopped my prednisone. That's what happened. And so yeah, I was super like Caitlin said, it's like, oh, it's flashbacks.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah, it's very crazy, those flashbacks that I still get, a lot of it I don't remember from that week of being in the hospital, and then bits and pieces show up, and then, I think back to the day that the cardiologist, finally put two and two together and sent me off, so to the next specialist.
Alrighty, we're gonna continue on with the story and see where it goes. So let's
You the entire time.
You want to take my sister off all her medication? How is that not giving up?
As symptoms arise, we'll treat them. It's scary, I know.
You don't know about anything. That article was right. This is the hospital from hell. Please. Let me transfer you. I will find you a specialist. If I say yes, what's gonna happen?
We will remove you from all of your medication, and you will get sicker. You'll feel more pain. No, I'm asking you to make an incredibly difficult decision, and I'm sorry.
I have 3 sisters. The oldest one is my hero. The youngest one is my baby. I changed her diapers, and I will never let her forget it. The middle one is my best friend. And if I were in Suzanne's position, she's the one who would decide for me. And that's why I'm talking to you. Your sister's immune system is too compromised for her to be moved safely. And even if we could move her, You're not going to find anyone better than me. You may have noticed that my ears don't work. Because of that, I have learned to listen with my whole body. When the medications are gone, the disease can start talking. So I can figure out what is wrong with your sister. And hopefully, we can save her life.
You have my permission. Withdraw everything.
Okay.
I thought we had a deal.
I'm backing up.
I didn't realize I was on mute still. Okay. So this episode, they continue on the storyline. In the beginning, they show that she's like throwing up. She's getting all these symptoms from withdrawing all of the medication. So Dr. DeLuca is like, hey, can we please get her medication for the nausea? And the diagnostician is like, no, we have to just let this ride and see what else pops up, like with the nausea. So she was like, just wait a little longer and we'll figure out what to do next. So let's see, 9:55 to 11:30. Let's see.
What you said?
Yeah, it's in between the blue and the green room.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. And count me in for that pro bono surgery day, okay?
Yes.
Hey, Fred Mercer, okay, stay with me. I was going through some of the transcripts from the lecture that you gave. You said he had post-op rashes and electrolyte abnormalities. Now, I need to know if his appendix had a carcinoid tumor because he already shares 2 symptoms with Suzanne Britling. So I'm thinking maybe she's got a carcinoid tumor and we just can't see it.
Okay. You've been going through transcripts of my old lecture.
Well, yeah, I'm going through transcripts from everyone's lectures.
When's the last time you slept, Andrew?
What does that have to do with anything?
You can't help Suzanne if you're exhausted. You took Suzanne off the meds 3 days ago. Have you taken a break?
Look, can you just answer the question, please?
I think the rash was propofol infusion syndrome.
Okay.
You try to run a CGA.
Thank you. It didn't need to be that hard.
DeLuca, the pericardial biopsy came back negative for carcinomatosis.
Okay. Thank you. Excuse me.
Is there any progress?
Everything I rule out is progress.
Are you working in shifts? Because he seems pretty fried.
By the time I brought someone else up to speed, Suzanne could be dead. And DeLuca, he's a machine.
Okay, I'm gonna skip that because it's just more about that storyline that he is having trouble with trying to figure out this diagnosis, and he's obsessing over it. Okay, 1409. 1409.
He has a nose in his arm because he saved her from a bear.
All right. Well, sometimes patient care is complicated.
Hey, little bunnies. It's Mom. Oh, stop. It's doing something.
This is the patient Suzanne trying to send a video to her kids.
All right. Well, we've ruled out a lot of bad things, which is a good sign. But I do need to draw some more blood for a few more tests.
Does she have any left?
Bradley. Come on. I barely have enough energy for this.
Sorry. Okay. I got it. Let's do it again.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, little bunnies, it's me. I'm just checking to make sure that you're eating all your carrots and...
No, wait, it's doing something to your mouth.
Huh? What?
Oh my God. Oh my God, her mouth is bleeding.
What? What? Oh. Not for me, Suzanne. No.
What's happening?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
Yeah, the count went from 250 to 5. All of our cell counts are down.
What does it mean?
I just said I don't know, okay? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can someone page Dr. Riley, please? We need to prep for a bone marrow biopsy right now.
Okay, so that's the next thing that happens, is that her platelet counts go all the way down. And platelets have to do with clotting. And if you don't have enough platelets, then you start bleeding from anywhere that could be affected. And so because her platelets dropped so far down, they do a bone marrow biopsy, and that's because platelets are created in the bone marrow. So if they get bone marrow biopsy, they can kind of see what's wrong and what might be going on. Okay, 2708.
Consult? Your chief of surgery gave an order that undoes everything. We were making progress, but now we really made that poor woman suffer for nothing. Just email me the autopsy report and maybe we'll.
So basically, the chief of surgery, after the whole bleeding mouth thing happened, she was like, we need to put her back on the medications. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, she's just suffering for no reason. But the diagnostician is saying we were so close. Like, even though like she was suffering, like now that we're not going to continue with the diagnosis, she's going to be really suffering for no reason because we can't continue to figure out what it is. And so she's like on her way out, about to leave as this is happening.
Know what happens then. Are you even listening to me?
It's Suzanne's bone marrow results. They're showing something called hemophagocytosis. Have you heard of that?
It's MAS, macrophage activation syndrome. Her white cells are eating her other blood cells.
Okay.
It's a complication I've seen of Still's disease. I've never seen it before in person.
MAS or Stills?
Either. It's extremely rare.
Okay, so this is it. We figured it out?
Yeah. But we don't have much time before her organs shut down.
Right. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Come on.
She'll need a few weeks downtime and some physical therapy, but she should make a full recovery.
I used to judge people people like me, home wreckers. I never in a million years thought that I could.
What happened?
Hey, Suzanne.
Dr. DeLuca, what are you doing?
Suzanne, you have Still's disease. It's rare, really rare. Fewer than 1 in a million people have it.
Dr. DeLuca, what are you doing?
I don't have time, Dr. Gray. I don't have time to ask your permission to treat a patient that I've been monitoring around the clock.
DeLuca, let's step away from the IV, please.
What did he just do?
What did you give her?
Suzanne, there's no cure for Still's disease, but it can be managed. And I just gave you high-dose steroids, and if I'm right, you should start feeling better almost immediately, okay?
Dr. DeLuca, out in the hallway, please. Wait, what if you're wrong?
He's not.
Not.
Andrew, we couldn't have had a conversation before you did that? Andrew! Well, if you're wrong, the steroids could kill her.
I'm not wrong. You were wrong to take our case away from us.
He is my resident. I am his supervisor.
You're also his girlfriend. It's muddy. She'll need supervision.
Did you see it? You look like a new person.
I feel like one. God, I feel alive again.
So was it the appendectomy that gave her the Still's disease?
Oh no, we suspect she had it before. The flu-like symptoms and the fatigue, that's all a part of it.
Oh, and I thought I was just tired from chasing my kids around.
Your innate immune system was in overdrive. And the high-dose steroids are bringing that back to normal, but you can't stay on those forever.
So then what's next?
We're going to set you up with a rheumatologist. People with Still's disease can live very full lives. We just need to get you on the right medication.
Can you set me up with my kids?
Yes, now that your counts are up, that's next on the list.
I don't know how you all figured this out, but thank you.
Of course. Let me go work on that for you. Excuse me. You should get in there and let them thank you.
I'm good. Why don't you go in there and take credit? Get the case over, right? It's your patient.
Andrew, that was an amazing diagnosis. You saved her life.
Yeah, not thanks to you.
Andrew, but if you had been wrong, those steroids could have wiped out her entire bone marrow.
If you had been wrong, your decision to go rogue could have cost you your entire career.
Okay, if I had asked your permission to administer the steroids, would you have granted it?
I would have asked a few questions.
She could have died when you did.
Okay, listen, Andrew, you saved her life. No one is trying to take that away from you. All I'm saying is you could have taken a moment to just tell me what you were giving her. Because at that time, you were not in the right state of mind to be making life or death decisions.
Right decisions. Life-saving decisions, Mayor.
Andrew, you're not sleeping. You're not eating. What? You are not acting like yourself.
You are unbelievable. You're such a hypocrite. All the rules apply to everybody else except for you. Is that it?
Ti devi calmare, oh.
Hey, fatti gli affari tuoi.
Okay, Hayes, it's fine. We're fine.
I saved your life. I did that, okay? Against all odds, it was a 1 in a million diagnosis.
Okay, that's the only part that I wanted to make sure that we saw was the 1 in a million diagnosis, that they put that in there. So I need some commentary from you guys. I feel like they did a pretty good job of being accurate. But I want to know what your opinion is.
It's kind of catch-22 for me because, I went so many years without a name for it. So, it's kind of difficult for me to say, but yeah, it really was, because I know after I went back to primary care, and she saw the report on what my diagnosis was, she showed me in her medical textbook under fever of unknown origin, it was a whole whopping 1 paragraph on Still's disease. And that was in 2004. It makes me wonder what's in the textbook now.
Yeah, hopefully a little more than that, right?
My friend's actually in medical school, and he sent me a picture of Still's disease, and it's maybe 2 paragraphs now.
Oh my God. There still needs to be so much shared with it, because, I'd like to know where it came from, because I know for me, I had a grandmother that had JRA, and her grandmother had it. But back when her grandmother hadn't had it, they just called her getting old before her time.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
And like I said, my grandmother had it, and I can remember her getting gold shots for hers, and I had not a clue, that I would get something like this.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
I wish there's more to be shared and more education for our doctors. I know I've run across a lot more doctors with knowledge of it now in my area alone.
Yeah, it is really tough, like when they say it is a 1 in a million diagnosis, and it's like, but you still need to have that general education on it, because it could come up. It's not, there's billions of people on this earth, so there's a good amount of people who have it.
Yeah.
So
We are truly a rare group of people. Like I said, the rheumatologist is like, I'm sorry that it took so long. We can't undo 20 years of damage, but we can slow it down. And we've managed to do that up till recently.
Definitely.
Really interesting. For the videos that you were showing, I'm not sure if like what they said about the rash for Tracy or Caitlin. I'm not sure if they thought that it was some vasculitis or something. I know that for me, they said, oh, it looks like a case of vasculitis, but it wasn't. And then another doctor said, well, once they did figure out I had Stills, he said, I haven't seen of Stills in like 15 years. And he's just like looking at the rash and all amazed. I thought it was pretty funny. And then let's see what else. Oh, the needing constant attention. That also was like another memory of where the doctor, she put in her notes like a patient needed like my constant just like attention being there for the crisis. And then the rheumatology consult, they did a pretty good sequence. So those are mine. Caitlin, did your rash?
So my kind of unique aspect to mine was that I actually moved to the UK when I was first diagnosed. And so it took me a long time to get into the NHS and figure out all of that. And so I had the rash, but I was just told many times that it was like an allergic reaction. They're like, oh, there's probably something in this environment your body's not used to. So maybe just try taking, antihistamines and see if that works, and take non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So, we tried a bunch of those. So the progression was kind of the same as you stated as well, Daleen, about the hospital and everything. But I was fortunate. I mean, I guess I was also stubborn. I just did not go to the hospital, even though I was throwing up all the time and I could barely move sometimes and everything. But once I got my general practitioner to take blood work right away, she was like, you need to see a rheumatologist because my inflammatory markers were out of off the charts.
Yeah.
And basically, and I was fortunate because when I saw a rheumatologist, so she recommended I go privately, which I was very fortunate that in the UK that's an option, because in Canada, had I been in Canada, I don't know, I probably would have just had to end up in the emergency room, because in Canada the wait times are anywhere from like 8 to 16 months for specialists. So in the
Wow.
UK, I managed to afford to go with my parents' help to a specialist. And he did more blood work. He saw everything. He saw my rash. He saw pictures of my rash. And he's like, we're gonna do a few more tests, and you'll come back and see me in 2 weeks, because he only had a clinic every 2 weeks. But right off the bat, he's like, I think you have what is called Still's disease. I've only seen it once or twice in my career. And off the bat, he was like, I cannot support you because this is a private clinic. This is only once every 2 weeks. You need to go to a proper hospital. And then the rheumatologist at the hospital I was, his first case. And then later on, when I was hospitalized there for 16, 17 days, I had pretty much the entire rheumatology department come through and ask me questions and look at the pictures and everything like that.
That's
My
crazy.
rash started out real faint, that faint salmon color, but now as the years have gone by, it's become a little bit more predominant and itchy, so to speak. So, it presents in so many different ways. They blew my rash off as it's just heat rash, or it's roseola, that kind of thing. And all. So yeah, I can kind of
Definitely.
relate to that too.
I think another thing that stood out to me was the reaction of the sister the whole time. I like that they had the sister character be there, because especially for me, like my mom's a nurse. So for her to go through the diagnosis like stages with me, and go through all of like when I was diagnosed with my lupus nephritis, and that took like 6 or 7 months to figure that out. Like, she's always like up in arms, kind of like how the sister was like, well, she doesn't even have any more blood for you to take, or like, I need to go to a different hospital because this is ridiculous. And like, I feel like that's really how it is though. Like when people are being diagnosed, it's like the family members are like, why the hell can't you figure this out? Aren't you a doctor for a reason? And it's like, it's not until you go through these kinds of situations where you're like, I kind of understand what being a doctor is now. It's literally playing Clue, or like I
Yeah.
Spy or something like that. It's a game where you have to
Process of elimination.
throw things at a dartboard and hope it sticks. And I you know I feel like I have a little bit more compassion for doctors when I understand that now, that it's not always like a this equals this and this equals that. It's
Kind of like
really
a
like
Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Venn diagram.
Well,
That's how I
especially
equate
with
it.
yeah, especially with Still's disease, because technically as of right now, there is absolutely no such thing as a diagnostic test for Still's
No,
disease. It's
no, there's
only by
not.
process of elimination, basically, and exclusion. So technically, like, yes, I know I have Still's, but like, part of me is always like, like,
could it be
do
this? Could it be that?
I?
Yeah.
I just
No,
got tired of
definitely.
feeling like a human pincushion, and I feel that now.
Mhm.
I do, because it's like 8 or 9 vials of blood every time I go.
Yeah. So, as we're talking about Still's disease and macrophage activation syndrome, I wanted to still just obviously display all of the resources that AiArthritis has for these diseases. So this is on our page. We have over here where you could see our Still's disease page, goes into all of the different symptoms and what they might mean, the different complications. So we have the education materials of our Still's disease brochures. This year we have 3 new additions to download our Spanish version, our French version, and also the macrophage activation insert. And the macrophage activation syndrome insert is a small snippet of the whole macrophage activation syndrome project. But so this also is our Stills folding card, would be great for all of you to keep in your wallet, so that, you know, if anybody does find you and they're trying to look for your identification, this should be behind your ID so that people can see this first and see that you do have Still's disease. That's what I would recommend. And this is also available in the Spanish and French version. If you want to keep that with you also, it basically just gives a very brief rundown to anybody who might find this of the common laboratory abnormalities for Still's disease, and the common symptoms, and anything you can write down anything that you feel like you should for your own Still's notes. And then we have the macrophage activation syndrome project that came out this year. So we have a patient guide and a healthcare professional brochure. The healthcare professional brochure is not really meant for rheumatologists, but can be given to rheumatologists too. It's more for general practitioners, for people who might work in an ER, for them to know the signs of macrophage activation syndrome, because mass in itself is very emergent and urgent, and you need to get the diagnosis as soon as possible. Exactly. So making sure that we all may have some people that we want to give this out to or send these resources to. I thank Grey's Anatomy for making that episode, because it really, you know, can help put Stills on the map. And here we have the patient perspective part of the MASS project that Caitlin participated in, basically telling your MASS story and what happened and how it developed from your Still's disease. A lot of people actually find out that they have Still's disease by having MAS. So that is something that happens pretty often. If you are interested or have any questions more about Still's disease, please reach out to us. Like Tracy said, she is also the main administrator for our Still's disease support group, which I'm trying to show you. But obviously I was doing something else. So here is, I have to sign in to get into my other account.
You may need to go under your groups.
Yeah, I was like, where is it? It's right here. I have it under my shortcuts, but it was on my other profile. So this
Yeah,
is our International Still's Disease Support Center. There are many posts every day that you can see. And if you're interested in if you all have Still's disease and you want to get into a community and ask questions, and I think all of you participate in there every once in a while, or yeah, so yeah, if you want to, that's a really great resource. We talked about lupus in this episode too. We also have a lupus page, so if you're interested in that, let us know. You can take a look at that page, or if you, like I said, if you're interested in hearing more about rheumatic diseases and reproductive health, there will be a talk show coming out next month for that. So any closing remarks from anybody on the panel?
No, I just hope to see more people asking questions and getting answers, you know. And, you know, one of my biggest goals is to try to educate not just the patients with the disease, but try to get it out to the doctors. You know, it's like my one primary care nurse practitioner. She had no clue. And I took her the brochure and she's like, oh my God, I've been working with this patient for a year and a half, and this might be what she's got. You know, so I haven't heard back whether or not she got her off to the rheumatologist to get it figured out or not. I keep forgetting to ask. I see her in town every now and then. So, you know, but yeah, our Still support group is one big family. You know, we try to be inclusive.
Caitlin or Daleen?
I think I can just say from personal experience, just if you yourself know something is wrong, seek help, seek attention, seek medical treatment, and do not stop until you are satisfied with the care that you're getting and and that you're satisfied with the diagnosis, because it never hurts if you feel like that's not the right diagnosis for you. Seek a second opinion. And I understand that the medical system can be very daunting in any country, for each of their own unique individual reasons. But ultimately, we are living in a world now where we have access to knowledge, access to the internet, access to medications. Something that blows my mind is if I was diagnosed with this even, 50, 70 years ago, I probably wouldn't have even been able to be here anymore. So just always, always, always advocate and seek support too. As Tracy said, like there's so many community groups and support, like we're all here. Like it just makes it so much easier when you, because family, friends, they're all lovely and they all have their own means of supporting you, but nothing quite compares to connecting with people who have had similar experiences to yourself.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, Caitlin. It's just been this whole lifetime for me with this disease. It's been a journey, and it's been, you know, I'm just glad to see that we're seeing patients getting diagnosed sooner rather than later in
Definitely.
the process. It shouldn't have taken me, 16, 17, 18, 20 years to get a name for it,
Yeah,
but
that's
the
heartbreaking.
impact that has had on me as a whole has been deep, and, I think the biggest thing is that doctors need to listen and pay attention and not say, oh, go away, it's all in your head, type thing, especially when you know your body and you know something's wrong.
Exactly.
And it's sad. It really is that more people, that we're not listened to. If I could just make a panel of doctors sit down and listen to the story of even just what I went through, up to the point of diagnosis, I think that it would change I think it would have an impact. It would have an impact on how they see their patients, even today. So, I really hope that this helps a lot of people.
Yeah, it goes with what Caitlin said about the second opinion. If you feel like you've heard from one doctor, I know with insurance and stuff, it might be sometimes hard to switch over, but if you can do it, definitely do it. I got a second opinion, and they both landed on the same diagnosis. So, that makes you feel more secure. And always, if you feel like you're not being heard, there's always, it's not impossible. It's definitely possible to find somebody who will hear you. I hope that you find that.
Oh yeah, definitely,
Awesome.
definitely.
Thank you so much. And I wanted to thank all of you for being such champions for Still's disease. From Daleen with just getting diagnosed this year to Tracy being diagnosed for, I think you said 16 plus, oh no, more than that.
I was diagnosed in 2004, but I've lived with it since about 1986, 1987.
Yeah, so several years, and Caitlin somewhere in the middle there, but definitely you all have been amazing champions of Still's disease, and I see it from all the work that we do together and from all the work that you all do separately on your own. And I think that having more people speak their voice like you, even if it is a 1 in a million diagnosis, really does help doctors, medical students, rheumatologists to feel like they want to know about this disease more. The more voices that speak about the disease and the more that they see people have it, the more that it'll be on the map for them to learn about. And hopefully people can get diagnosed earlier, faster, and get treatment earlier and faster. So that's what we're here at AiArthritis to do, is hopefully help with expediting diagnosis and preventing disease from progressing more when it doesn't have to. So I really hope that whoever's watching this got some insight about lupus and Still's disease. And yeah, tune in next month on January 15th for the part 2 of this TV show watch party. And it'll be focused a little bit more on RA and AxSpa. So we might have a few different panel members. If I can get some more people who have those diseases, it would be great. But I had a lovely time speaking with all of you. Went a little bit over, but it was kind of due to the technical difficulties too. So thank you for being patient and sticking it with me. And we'll see you all when we see you. So thank you all
Thank you
again
so
for
much for
joining.
organizing this.
Yes, have a
Thank
great
you.
day.